Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the 50th Annual General Meeting of the Macarthur Credit Union Limited, the MAC. My name's Jeff Ellis, and I'm the Chairman of the Board of the MAC. As the Company Secretary has confirmed with me that we have a quorum present, I now officially declare this meeting open at 4:30 p.m. May I welcome you to our very first online AGM. While it's disappointing that due to the pandemic we couldn't hold this event in person, the upside is we've actually got many more members that have registered to attend than we've had seen in previous years. I'd like to take the moment to let you know a few features for you as part of our online AGM. Firstly, if you're experiencing any technical issues, the team from Vero are available to help. You can get in touch with them by using the details that can be found under the support tab on your screen. Throughout the AGM, we invite you to ask any questions you may have that relate to the AGM agenda. And you can do this through the Q&A tab, and your question will be answered either through the Q&A tab directly via our support staff, or if appropriate, it'll be relayed to the speaker to allow them to respond. Finally, in line with the Constitution, we will also hold a vote on a number of various items, including to elect our incoming directors. Voting will be available under the voting tab and will open once we reach each of those agenda items. Voting on each agenda item is simply choosing one of the displayed options to vote in favour, against or abstain. Voting on the election of directors is simply a matter of selecting two names to vote for the candidates you wish to see join the MAC Board of Directors. You may select only one candidate if you wish. The system will not allow you to select more than two. It's important to note that once you click a candidate's name, that will automatically cast your vote. There's no submit button. So please take your time to ensure you cast your vote as you wish. Voting rights are only available to shareholding members of the MAC. I'd like to acknowledge in our meeting that we also have joining me on screen today will be Phil Rankin, the Chair of the Board Audit Committee, and we've also got the audit partner, Brad Bowen from Australasia in Albury. I will reserve my right to make some remarks on the past year for the MAC until later in the meeting. Members, we are going to hold a ballot for the election of directors at this annual general meeting, of which there are 3 nominations for the 2 vacancies arising this year. Members will be asked at agenda item 5 to formally cast their votes, thus providing a board complement of 7 directors. I'll now move on to agenda item 2. In terms of apologies, the Secretary has advised me that I have apologies from Katrina Woodman and Sarah Ramon. So can I ask that this resolution is accepted and received? And would you please cast your vote now to accept and receive the apologies? If you could click the voting button. Looks like this takes a little bit longer than the traditional show of hands. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I've been advised that that motion has been passed. I'll now move us through to agenda item number 3, which is the reception of financial statements. The MAC's annual report for the 2021 financial year has been made available online, and copies have also been made available in our branches. I'd now like to call on Phil Rankin, the Chair of the Board's Audit Committee, to address the meeting regarding this year's accounts. And Phil, if you could unmute yourself, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Philip Rankin. I am the chairman as chairman of the Audit Committee of the MAC. My predecessor reported last year of the initial impact of COVID-19 pandemic. It has given rise to a whole new range of financial scenarios that up until now have only been considered theoretical. The initial period of lockdowns and restrictions had impacts and implications that were felt in a financial sense in the 2020-21 year. These included official interest rates of almost close to zero, member deposits and wholesale interest rates close to zero, home loan rates of close to 2%, record amounts of government stimulus and superannuation funds being deposited into members' accounts. This dislocation of wholesale investment markets has had a significant impact on our financial results, as evidenced by a $330,000 decline in net interest income. There is always a lag factor that changes with market interest rates and the flow on of the impact of our financial performance. This year, we also took a number of significant strategic decisions during the year that impacted our financial performance in 2021. These decisions related to the closure in July 2021 of the Narellan branch and the write-down of the residual assets relating to the Camden site. These write-downs had a significant impact on the 2021 results of approximately $300,000. While the reporting of a loss is not something that is taken lightly, it has been done to position the MAC to move forward in the 21-22 year and beyond. We are already seeing the benefits of these decisions with improved financial results in the first few months of the 21-22 year. This is no mean feat in an environment that continues to present challenges in the form of continued lockdowns, continued low investment yields and interest margins, record rising real estate prices. There is a saying, however, that challenges also present opportunities to this point. The MAC has been very active throughout this difficult time in moving forward. In addition to the ongoing redevelopment of the Camden site, which will ultimately present us with the ability to generate non-interest revenue streams, the following initiatives have provided our members with new or enhanced products and services. Lending to many of our small business members, a headline new car loan rate of 3.99%, a specific loan product to cater for home loan bridging finance. I should also comment on an ongoing management of the COVID-19 loan hardship process. At a broader macroeconomic level, this has been a critical element in the federal government's economic response to the pandemic. The hardship process and the associated management and reporting of it has had a significant resourcing implications for the MAC. However, I am pleased to report the following. Our loan hardship percentages are well below that of the industry-wide statistics. Our team has worked with our members' best interests at heart. Sometimes these best interests are not a 6-month repayment holiday, especially when the member's longer-term position is considered. The hardship process had virtually wound up by March 2021, but has been reinstated subsequent to the end of the financial year 21 financial year with the Delta outbreak and subsequent lockdowns. I am also pleased to report that by the end of November, we will not have any member loans covered by COVID hardship arrangements. The economic pressures brought about by the global pandemic have not only impacted our profitability levels, the unavoidable fact is that they have also impacted our capital adequacy levels. However, the holding of the prudent capital buffers are important in withstanding the economic pressures brought about by one-off events such as the global pandemic. The capital adequacy ratio of 16.36% at the end of the financial year 21 is down on previous years. However, this should be considered in the light of the following. The ratio remains well above the prescribed APRA requirements. The ratio remains above our internal benchmarks, which take into account the capital required to manage each of the identified risks in operating the MAC. It is anticipated that the ratio will normalise in the coming months as a result of the improved profitability levels, which we are seeing in the early part of financial year 22, the projected outflow of liquid funds as members return to pre-pandemic spending habits. We continue to operate with liquidity levels well above both our internal and external benchmark requirements. While liquidity is also a crucial cornerstone of a financial institution's strength, we would like to see this ratio at a lower level, which will ultimately mean better returns for our members. The higher levels of capital adequacy and liquidity do not by themselves translate to a successful financial institution. However, they are important elements in generating future growth and benefits. We will continue to invest in our future while also continuing to offer competitive loan and deposit products to our members. As we reflect on our 50 years of operation, it is timely to share some interesting facts that show more of the human side of what the MAC does. We have 11,891 members currently banking with the MAC. Our asset base has grown steadily to $317 million. Our loan book has also grown steadily to $189 million, a pleasing result in the light of the external environment and intense competition. And I can say that that has actually moved higher, and we are now over $200 million in loans, our loan book, since the end of the financial year. We also process a staggering amount of member transactions on an annual basis, whether it be a tap and go or a coffee purchase, an online purchase, or paying an electricity bill via BPay. We help members live their lives on a daily basis. Over the past 12 months alone, the MAC processed over 2.5 million separate Visa card transactions, which in dollar terms totals $127 million. 159,000 BPay transactions, 1.151 million direct debits and credits and debits, including real-time payments, totaling just over $1 billion. 163 personal loans totaling $3.7 million, a substantial increase on the previous year. 203 home loans totaling $66 million, also a substantial increase. We repossessed not one single secured property or any other secured asset. The inescapable fact is that these electronic transactions continue to grow at a rate of around 8 to 10% per year at a time where traditional transactions types such as in-branch transactions continue to decline. It would be remiss of me not to reflect on our 50 years of operations. From humble beginnings, serving the local coal mining community, we have grown to become a locally owned financial institution that competes against larger institutions. I am also very proud to say that a number of our foundation members continue to bank with us, in addition to the extended families of those foundation members. We continue to put the best interests of our members at heart, or to paraphrase credit union marketing material from the past, we put our people before profit. We continue to be deeply involved in the communities that we serve. Our beginnings in 1971 were humble and understated, with assets of only $143,000 and loans of $130,000. However, by 1981, our assets were $4.3 million and loans of $3.3 million. And by 1991, They were 32 million and 28 million respectively. 2001 saw our assets increase to 118 million and loans of 81 million, and continuing to grow steadily. At the time of writing this presentation, we are bearing in on an asset base of 350 million and a loan portfolio of 200 million. We have exceeded that 200 million in the last month. It is worthwhile considering where we have come from in a financial and operational sense. It took us roughly 41 years to grow the portfolio to $100 million. It has taken a mere 9 years to double that. At the turn of the century, the MAC employed roughly 10 more staff than it does today. Yet in that time, our asset base has grown by around 250%. The ability to pay bills or transfer funds on a mobile telephone is taken for granted today. And this was the stuff of science fiction 20 years ago, let alone in 1971 when we started. Our credit union could not operate and provide benefits to you, the members, without three ingredients, namely our governance principles, our people who work all day for the members, and our business partners. I would like to discuss all three of these elements in more detail, which leads me to our corporate governance principles. Members, the achievement of a stable financial position takes considerable effort. It is achieved through prudent planning, making calculated decisions when it comes to the business opportunities, and having a passionate and dedicated management and staff. Your board undertakes the following corporate governance principles: the preparation of financial and operating budgets, as well as long-range financial modelling, regular budget forecasting and stress testing, the formulations of a strategic plan and the achievement of strategic goals and objectives, the regular review of the financial performance by the board and the audit committee. Members, your directors have continued to take time to evaluate corporate governance best practice and risk management practices to ensure that the MAC has adequate controls and safeguards in place. I can report to members tonight, as chairman of the audit committee, that I'm completely satisfied with the level of governance embraced by my fellow directors and the professionalism and dedication to good governance of our management team and staff at the coalface. This brings me to our people. As I said before, what sits behind a successful organisation are great people. I would like to pay tribute to the senior executive team led by David Cadden, Paul Brooks, Rebecca Brooks and Craig Oliver for their strong leadership and guidance, especially in a year that has presented significant financial and operational challenges. I would like to thank my colleagues on the audit committee, Peter Buckley, Ashley Jennings and Emma McFarlane, who have provided positive assistance and feedback to myself, the board and management. In celebrating our 50th anniversary, I would be most thoughtless not to remember the founding and contributing directors that started your credit union and gave so much of their time and efforts. These men had great vision as well as fortitude, and we should applaud them for their courage. These men were Ron Dine, Les Olson, Ralph Sharp, Dennis Frew, Sam Heatley, Daryl Haig, George Hooper, Michael Wales, Terry McGurran, and David King. My apologies if I have left anyone out. However, it would be my pleasure, it has been my pleasure, to rub shoulders with some of these men in my early board days from 1995 to 2016. Finally, to our business partners, I would like to thank our lawyers, Daniels Bengston, for their advice and service. I would also like to offer a massive vote of thanks to our auditors, Crowe Australasia. The global pandemic has presented them with significant operational challenges in undertaking their audit for the second year in a row. The significance of these challenges cannot be underestimated. Brad Bowen and his team at Crowe are very professional and offer trusted advice. Lastly, I would like to make mention of our internal audit partners at Grant Thornton, Chartered Accountants, led by Claire Scott and Madeline Matera. They are highly valued for their professionalism and practical advice. Members, can I thank you for your time tonight and for your continued support of your credit union. I hope this short review gives you a positive insight into the financial performance of your credit union, the MAC. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. May I now call on Brad Bowen from Crowe Australasia, the auditors of the MAC, to provide a few remarks concerning their audit of the 2020-21 financial statements. Brad?
Good afternoon, Jeff. Thanks for that introduction. From my side, the Crowe business did face some challenges with delivering the 2021 audit of the MAC, but working together, we've collaboratively got the project completed, and really pleasing, we've ended with an unqualified or a clean audit opinion on the statutory financial statements for the MAC, which were lodged with the regulators, both ASIC and APRA, on time. So we're really comfortable that from a project management delivery perspective, that the financial result and the disclosures contained within the financial report have been adequately tested from our audit methodology, and we're very comfortable that the financial statements are true and fair. Our audit opinion, which is contained within the annual financial statements, includes a statement to that effect signed by myself. And we're very pleased to be continuing with our involvement with the MAC moving forward. The audit process, as the earlier comments, was focused on members' ability to repay in a pandemic scenario and centred on hardship applications. Really, it's encouraging to see the progressive improvement and borrowers' abilities to can meet their obligations. And the provisioning that sits inside the financial statements reflects an adequate provision of doubtful debts on the loan book, which is outlined as growing and growing quite rapidly for the MAC. I think that is the summary from an audit perspective, considering it was an end point of unqualified and lodged on time. And our thanks for the opportunity to work with you.
Thank you, Brad, and thanks for attending today. Are there any questions for either the auditor or the chair of the audit committee? If so, you could please lodge your questions via the option on your screen right now. I've been advised by the Secretary there hasn't been any questions forthcoming, so we'll now seek the meeting's reception of the financial reports, the directors' reports, the financial statements, the directors' declaration and the auditor's report. So the resolution is that the directors' report, the financial statements, directors' declaration and the auditor's report for the year ending 30 June 2021 be received. Would you please cast your vote now? Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I can confirm that the members have voted to adopt the director's report, the financial statements, the director's declaration and the auditor's report for the 2021 year. Thank you. I now move on to agenda item number 4. To determine directors' remuneration. It is customary for your governance committee to recommend to the board an amount to bring to the AGM for members' consideration. The committee has recommended that the aggregate amount of remuneration for the 21-22 year be increased by 1% from the amount that applied in the 2020-21 year. Therefore, your board recommends the total amount payable to directors appointed by the membership be held to $136,500 in aggregate for the 2021-2022 year. In the event of an additional director being appointed by the board, a pro rata allowance of $15,300 will be provided. Please note that this amount does not include the superannuation guarantee contribution. Directors are entitled to superannuation guarantee contribution in addition to their directors' fees. Are there any questions on the directors' remuneration? If so, please use your question option on the screen now. Thank you, everybody. I've been advised by the Secretary that there are no questions being put on that recommendation. So the first resolution is that for the directors appointed by members under Rule 13.3 of the Constitution for the period November 1, 2021 to October 31, 2022, be $136,500 in aggregate plus the superannuation guarantee contribution, and that the board distribution of the fees being determined and that the distributions of fees be determined by the board of directors. Please cast your vote now. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I can confirm that the members have voted in favour for the directors appointed by members under Rule 13.3 of the Constitution for the period November 1, 2021 to October 31, 2022, be $136,500 in aggregate, plus the superannuation guarantee contribution, and that the distribution of the fees be determined by the board of directors. A second resolution is that the directors appointed by the board under Rule 13.4 of the Constitution for the period November 1, 2021 to October 31, 2022, an allowance in the quantum be provided but not to exceed of $15,300 plus the superannuation guarantee contribution per director. Would I please ask you to cast your vote now? Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Thank you. I can confirm members have voted in favour of the directors appointed by the board under Rule 13.4 of the Constitution for the period November 1, 2021 to October 31, 2022. An allowance in the same quantum be provided but not to exceed $15,300 plus the superannuation guarantee contribution per director. Thank you. I'll now move to agenda item number 5, the election of directors. Under the Constitution of the MAC, we are required to hold an election ballot in accordance with Appendix 5, ballot at the AGM of the Constitution. This is due to the number of nominations being greater than the number of vacancies. 3 nominations have been received for the 2 director vacancies. These nominations have been received from Peter Buckley, Sean McCargill and Lloyd Pollard. I should point out that all candidates have been successful in demonstrating their fitness and propriety. The Board Nominations Committee and its independent chair undertook a full review of all 3 candidates and determined that all candidates be deemed fit and proper persons. Members, as I mentioned at the start of the meeting, you may vote for 1 or 2 candidates. Upon marking your selection, your vote will automatically be submitted. Craig Oliver, our Chief Risk Officer, has been appointed as the returning officer for the process. Once the votes have been cast, the returning officer will provide the company secretary with the results, and the company secretary will advise me of the same. Members, I'm pleased to advise that all 3 candidates nominating tonight are strong candidates. But as the chairman, I feel moved to say, however, that the incumbent directors, Peter Buckley and Lloyd Pollard, enjoy my full support in moving forward as directors. We will now take a minute to enable all members to cast their vote. Members, please cast your vote to elect up to 2 candidates to the Board of Directors of the MAC Credit Union. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. The company secretary, as verified by our Chief Risk Officer, have advised that votes have been received and counted. And as a result, can I congratulate the following two candidates who have been elected to the board of the MAC: Peter Buckley and Lloyd Pollard. May I also thank Sean McCargill for his candidacy. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I'll now move to agenda item 6, the Chairman's report. Members, I'm not going to dwell on past and present issues of the pandemic of my report. I'm sure we're all too well informed. Some might say we're all a little bit fatigued by the constant media. But suffice to say that the MAC has operated under the Pandemic Policy and Crisis Management Team's guidance since very early 2020 and continues to focus on the safety of our members and our staff, as well as our operational continuity, as this situation continues to evolve in what we'd all hope is improved new normal in the near future. The 2021 financial year has been financially challenging for the MAC as we reflect on the financial results as outlined by the Audit Committee Chairman, Mr. Phil Rankin. But I want our members to understand that your board, supported by management, has worked diligently through this period and continues to look towards the future with strategic responses to a most challenging operating environment. But please rest assured that our capital and liquidity remain above the minimum required standards, and these are the strength that we can rely on in difficult times. There is much that the board and management continue to work on to ensure the long-term success of your credit union, particularly as we're now in our 50th year. And while looking forward, we'll always remember and acknowledge that in 1971, a group of local miners and truck drivers founded Clutha Employees Credit Union, created to provide financial services and products to local employees of the Clutha coal mines in Camden. The credit union expanded to service the community, the needs of the community in 1978 when it became Macarthur Credit Union. Born from the Macarthur community to serve the needs of the Macarthur and Wallandilly communities, the Macarthur Credit Union became the MAC 35 years later in 2013. And while your board continues to look to the future of the MAC, we're not going to forget our past as it grounds us. I'd like to acknowledge our historical prudent lending approach over many years, as this has meant we've had significantly less member stress than most or many financial organisations during the pandemic. And this demonstrates how our values of friendly and helpful and supportive have played their part for our members, for each other, and for the broader community. It's clear that we live these values as they continue to be applied no matter how difficult circumstances are. We proudly contributed in kind to the local communities that we serve and have supported a large number of charities, community groups, schools and sporting organisations to assist in the work that they do. This in-kind support was in the order of $24,000 in the 2021 year. In what has been a challenging year with the pandemic, on behalf of the board and our members, I'd like to say thank you to all our amazing staff. They continue on a daily basis to go above and beyond for our members, for you. And for that, I say thank you. On behalf of the members, I also thank our CEO, David Catton, and his management team, who continue to do a determined job every day, working with staff and the board to improve the MAC for you, the members. I'd like to thank your dedicated board of directors for their diligent corporate governance and stewardship of your credit union. The directors take their responsibilities and their duties and their obligations very seriously. The board's primary focus is safeguarding the assets of our members and ensuring the future remains strong, stable and prosperous for the MAC. And we'll have more to share on that in the future. Members, I'm sure you'll all continue to enjoy a friendly, helpful and supportive relationship with the MAC, as we're going to continue to work hard to make sure that you do as we enter our next 50 years. Thank you, everybody. I now move to agenda item 7. Board appointed directors. Members, during the course of the last year, we have had 3 directors that resigned from your board due to changes in their personal circumstances. These directors were Katie Palmer, who resigned in March of 2021, Ian Council, who resigned in February of 2021, and Doug Ferris, who resigned in December 2020. On behalf of the membership and the board, I wish to acknowledge and very much thank Katie, Ian and Doug for their significant and highly valued contributions to the MAC. We are a better organisation as a result of their guidance and counsel during their tenures. And I know that Katie, Ian and Doug have joined our meeting this evening, which speaks to their ongoing support and passion for the success of the MAC. Under Rule 13.51 of the Constitution, your board exercises its authority to appoint suitable candidates to a director position to fill a vacated office, and we are delighted that Peter Buckley, Lloyd Pollard and Emma McFarlane accepted our invitation to do so for the remainder of the term of their respective director that they replaced. As Lloyd and Peter replaced directors whose term expired at their AGM, their candidates has been processed under the normal director election process that you've completed this evening. As Emma's term does not expire until the 2022 AGM, the purpose of this agenda item is to formally inform the meeting that your board exercised its authority to make that appointment during the year. This matter does not require a vote. Members, that concludes the business of our AGM tonight. And I'd like to thank you for joining us tonight, particularly in our new virtual AGM. And I thank you for your continued support as we seek to deliver financial services in a friendly, helpful and supportive manner. I now declare the 50th Annual General Meeting of Macarthur Credit Union Limited closed at 5:07 p.m. Thank you.